What's up guys, Diego here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So today I want to show you the Magicka Sorcerer PvE build for the Homestead update. I call this build the Shorty because it's a little bit different and it uses the short duration morphs of all the skills. And just to make it clear, all the credit for this build goes to Synaxu. It's not my build, I'm not the one who theory crafted it. The gear setup and the skill rotation was made by Synaxu. I will put his video channel, it's a YouTube channel, in the video description down below. He doesn't upload very frequently. He didn't upload anything for months, I guess. But a lot of you guys might know him. He was a player of Beyond Infinity. He was a player of the Animals, the first team of Beyond Infinity, and this team completed all the Cracklorn raids world first. They were the world first on completing Veteran War of Lockhart on hard mode difficulty, and they were the very first to nuke Ricard on in hard mode before the donor phase. So he's an incredible sorcerer. He was the one who came up with all this, so give him some credit, give him some love. I'm currently part of the trials team that he's running with, so I am very honored to play with him, and I'm very happy I can show, or I can share this build with you. So just to give you a rough idea, and this is only just to make it clear, this is what the numbers I'm about to show you are without drain, are a single target, and I did not start with an ultimate. However, I had to damage the target skeleton to 50%, or I start at 100% and stop at 50% to see the damage. So like the second to last number that you will see, I had to go away and get the unstable familiar away, so my DPS dropped a little bit. And the second time I started at 49%. I will put the video of it in the like after the skills, or maybe after the CP, so you can see the video of the test. And yeah, just to give you a rough idea, so these are the tests that I did. Here I just like played with the rotation a little bit to like warm up myself, because I haven't played on PlayStation for a really long time. So this was the first time where I got it to 50%. Then I had to go away and get my pet away from the target skeleton, and this was like the test that I've done, starting at like 49%, I guess. But still, I'm pretty sure I did not have my ultimate up at that point, and this was without drain. Unfortunately, I do have to get the target skeleton down to about 50% because I cannot sustain this without drain. This is a relatively resource heavy rotation. However, if the healer applies drain and throws some bubbles, you're completely fine. You can see it in the gameplay video. I never had any issues with my Magicka resource management. So 38k plus without drain. Drain gives you about 10% more damage. So you sit about with the rotation that I do, or with how I cast the skills, I do about 42k, and I got these results like all the time that I've done the tests. Synaxu, however, because he's an incredible sorcerer, he scored 44 to 45k a lot of times. So the damage on this build is really, really powerful. And for those people who didn't see it, I do have a gameplay video where I showed the rotation, all that stuff, and you can see, like, especially on the last boss in Ruins of Mazatoon, in execute range, I was the only DPS alive, and you can see how fast the HP of the boss get burnt down to 0. It's incredible. Like, I never imagined this build to be so powerful. So thanks a lot, Synaxu, for coming up with this awesome build. But enough of this. I will start with stats. So this is like best slot setup option if you have Moondancer. However, I'm using a precise staff here. So you might have a little bit less spell crit. So you should sit about at about 58% spell crit with a sharpened staff completely buffed. So completely buffed, my stats look like this: 2.5k spell damage, and I should sit at 58% spell crit. So just take away 7%. 50.5k max magicka, 18.4k max health, and about 1k magical recovery. I am a vampire. I'm using the thief stone. I have max health and magicka buff food here. All points into magicka, really nice. And you could, however, get a little bit more magicka, of course, with, where is it? Oh yeah, with inner light. So this is a flex spot. You can get inner light to go to 53.3k max magicka, and you could also go with meteor. So meteor gives you, wait a second. So meteor gives you 54k max magicka, and I'm not sure if this is like completely true. I think pets only get buffed by max magicka. Like increasing your spell damage shouldn't do more. Actually, maybe I can I test this? No, I don't have damage numbers on the target skeletons. I'm not sure. You can test it out and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure pets like shields only get buffed by max magicka. So having more max magicka means having more damage. That's why I do recommend to go with Moon Dancer instead of Infallible Aether. And also pets do not benefit from you having sharpened weapons. This build heavily relies on pet damage, so it's not that much of a big deal to use precise weapons. However, I do not recommend to go with anything else than sharpened or precise weapons. Use sharpened or precise weapons. The pet will still benefit from resistance debuff. So debuffing your opponent, so like if you have a tank with puncture, he should always debuff the opponent, then your pets will do more damage. But like having a precise staff or putting points into spell erosion will not increase the damage you do with your pet. At least that's what the tests showed that we've done, or a friend of mine has done. So it's really interesting. And so Moon Dancer is the best in slot. I would just go to gear. So Moon Dancer would be the best in slot option. However, I only have the Inferno Staff of Infallible Aether and Sharpened, and the bonuses are pretty much the same. So you use 4 pieces. Infallible Aether is spell crit, Minor Slayer, and spell damage, and Moon Dancer is pretty much the same, but instead of spell crit, you get max magicka. So Moon Dancer is a little bit better. You get Moon Dancer in more of Lockhart. I use the jewelry, of course, with all spell damage. And yeah, I know a lot of you guys cannot complete VMOL. I get that. I get that a lot. Like, people complain, people are mad because I'm using gold jewelry in my videos. I don't know why. I'm trying to show what's best in slot and people still get mad at me. It's a little bit confusing. So you do not need the gold jewelry, to be honest. Like, the difference is so small. Minor Slayer will always be 5% more damage. And it doesn't matter if it's blue, if it's purple or gold. You can go to normal Morphlockash and get the blue jewelry. And people say, yeah, but still, you need 12 people. Just read the zone chat, guys. Go to Gradwood, go to Deshan, go to Wayrest, go to Cracklorn. People will post looking for group or looking for mate, normal mole or normal Sanctum Ophidia, like NMOL or NSO or NAA, and in an archive or in Sanctum Ophidia you can get the Infallible Aether jewelry as well in blue. So don't try to don't try to find excuses. There is possibilities to do the raids on normal difficulty. If you cannot find a group there as well, join a guild. Like, post in zone chat or post on Facebook or any site where you can find guilds. Like, if you do not want to look for a guild, you don't need this jewelry anyway. So if you do not, if you don't want to play group content, you can still go with willpower jewelry. It's still good. It gives you max Magicka spell damage, and it's relatively cheap. You can find it at the guild vendors. But trust me, it is possible to get this stuff. It doesn't matter if it's blue, and to start with it, you can still go with blue jewelry. Then I'm using, for dungeons, a Maelstrom's lightning staff on the back bar. There's a reason for this, and I do recommend in trials to go with an Inferno staff on the back bar, but unfortunately I only have it in precise. For dungeons, I recommend to go with the lightning staff. Why is that? Why I do that? I will talk about that when I get to skills. Then I'm running Elambris. Of course, you can get this in Crypt of Hearts. The Maelstrom stuff, the Maelstrom Arena, of course. You need the DLC for that. Crypt of Hearts 1 on Veteran. You can get it from the last boss, and then the shoulders from the Undaunted. Then I'm using 5 pieces of Necropotence. Hey, what a surprise! So, Necropotence, when I heard that they're testing pets on PTS, I went to the guild vendor and bought this for like 10k gold a piece. I know it's more expensive, and on PC it's about 90 to 150k for one piece. If you're lucky, you can still find some for 30k, but I'm poor on PC. I do not have any gold, so I cannot buy Necropotence on PC right now. That's why I'm forced to go with Burning Spell Weave and use the skill rotation of Yolo Wizard, which is about equally as powerful as this one. So Necropotence actually the only option. I do not recommend to go with Burning Spell Weave, but I will get to Burning Spell Weave later because it's still really important. So that's about it for gear. Let's talk about skills. So why do I use an Inferno staff on the front bar and the lightning staff on the back bar in dungeons? And it's pretty simple. Ancient Knowledge got changed, and this now increases your damage on single target abilities with your flame staff, and it increases your lightning staff, your AoE damage when you use a lightning staff. So to boost the damage of our Spammable, of our Shooting Star, Force Pulse, Crystal Fragments, we have a lightning Inferno staff on the front bar. But this build, since the durations of the AoEs are really short, that's why I call it Shorty build. We spend half of the time on the back bar, or yeah, about half of the time on the back bar. So to buff the damage of our blockade and of our liquid lightning or lightning flood and unstable ball of storms, we do have lightning staff on the back bar. There's more reasons for that, of course, and these are the two skills that deal the most damage in our whole rotation. Like most of the time, these will be the two skills that deal the most damage. And yeah, you can see my skills aren't leveled, so I have about more than 38k DPS without having my skills fully leveled, so I can still get a little bit more damage out of it. Then yeah, what was I about to say? So lightning staff on the back bar, unstable ball of storms. The new effect of the storm wall is that concussed enemies can get set off balance for 4 seconds. What is concussion? So concussion got changed with Homestead as well, and it now applies minor vulnerability. So if an enemy gets concussed, and to concussed enemies, they need to get hit by shock damage. So every time you deal shock damage, you have a chance to concuss enemies, and you will concuss them all the time with your blockade of storms and or like unstable ball of storms and the volatile familiar, of course, and lightning flood. So these are your sources of lightning damage, and you will concuss them all the time. With this, you can set them off balance, and so setting them off balance will give you more damage. So only if you have 75 points in the ritual, and Ritual Tree because of the Exploiter passive. So 10% more damage against off-balance enemies. This is huge. It is huge. Trust me, it is huge. Also, minor vulnerability. Yeah, what is minor vulnerability? Minor vulnerability is 8% more damage if the enemy is debuffed with it. And concussion used to apply minor maim, but they changed it with Homestead. So concussion deals minor vulnerability now. So you deal 8% more damage. And then in dungeons, usually like the healer maybe wants to do some damage as well, or wants to buff the group a little bit more, so you can slot a lightning unstable wall of lightning or storms, and you can apply minor vulnerability to the enemies, and you can set them off balance. So if you have like a Templar or a DK, they can put 75 points into Thaumaturgy as well, and they will deal 10% more damage because you're running this ability, which is nice. And so for dungeons, I recommend this. Also in dungeons, you do have a little bit more trash fights, and your curse deals a little bit more AoE damage, so 6.2k. With an Inferno Staff, it's 5 point something k, but your initial hit will deal, or like the hit when it explodes on the target that it's applied to will deal a little bit more damage. It's really nice. So in trials, I do recommend to go with an Inferno Staff. So you have this, the unstable wall of fire, and you deal more damage with your curse, with your Daedric Prey. 13.6, so it's 1k more damage, but 400 less damage on AoE splash, which is still nice. So why a blockade of fire, or like the unstable wall of fire? The thing is, in trials, you have Magicka Dragon Knights, you have Engulfing Flames, and Engulfing Flames buffs all fire damage that the enemy takes by 10%. Also, if the enemy burns, you will deal 20% more damage with unstable wall of fire, or even the elemental fire blockade. Burning enemies take 20% more damage from this ability. So yeah, burning status effect has a relatively low chance to proc, I know, but all the Magicka DPS, they play with Burning Spellweave now, and there's something that people do not understand about Burning Spellweave and why it's so powerful and why it's better than Scathing Mage and Juliana's Twice More Star, all that stuff. The 5-piece bonus. When you deal damage with a flame damage ability, you'd have a 20% chance to apply the burning status effect. So you have a secure 20% chance to apply it, and trust me, a lot of people will run Burning Spellweave in your trial, even in your dungeon. And then they also use flame abilities like Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, your whips, the blockade of fire on the Templars, on the Nightblades, on the Decays. They have a lot of flame damage. Your Meteor is flame damage. Standard of Might is flame damage. So the enemies will burn. They will take more damage. So it's only from this ability, it's 30% more damage. Or this ability has 30% more damage in a trial. Trust me, it's more beneficial. Also in trials, you do not have like a lot of ads, so your curse will deal more damage, and then you should go with two Inferno Staffs on your bar. You could go with a Lightning Staff on the front bar to like have more damage on AoE, but since you do rotate all the time and have a lot of big AoEs, it's you do not need to have like a spammable AoE or like do heavy attacks with Lightning Staff. Or like if you have a boss fight and the boss needs to spawn, just re-equip a Lightning Staff on the back bar and you should be good to go. So that's the reason why I'm running Lightning Staff on the back bar in dungeons, Inferno Staff in trials, and Inferno Staff on the front bar. So let's talk about skills now. So we start with Crystal Fragments. We use this ability when it procs. How does it look? Come on. Okay, so this is the look of the fragments when they proc. Yeah, you can see the glow on my hands. And then you can insta-cast them. And they will deal 20% more damage and cost 50% less, which is nice, so we only use them when our hands are glowing. You might need to listen to your game, because sometimes your hands won't glow, it just won't show up. It's a little bit stupid, but it will help, trust me, to listen to the game. Then we have the Volatile Familiar. So Volatile Familiar deals shock damage, and it gets buffed by our Daedric Prey and by our gear and all that stuff. And yeah, that's about it. It's a toggle ability, so you need to have it slot on both bars. Inner Light, this is the flex spot. You can use the shield here. You can use Inner Light if you have like normal veteran, more of Lockhart, or any other boss fight where you do not need a shield. Just put Inner Light there. You will benefit from the extra damage. Then we have our spammable ability, which is Force Balls. Force Balls deals flame, frost, and shock damage, so it can proc both meteor showers from Elambris, which is nice. And then we have Bound Aegis. Bound Aegis, we slot this here because we can slot Inner Light here, and it gives us 8% more max Magicka. So it's 1% more max Magicka than Inner Light anyway, and we do not use any other abilities, so because they do not fit into the rotation. That's why we use Bound Aegis instead like of Inner Light on both bars. Then Shooting Star. So Shooting Star deals a lot of initial damage if you have like single target short fights. I'd go with Shooting Star. Also it gives us 2% more max Magicka because it's a major skill ability. Still, if you are if your team members aren't lazy with synergies, I do recommend to go with Aetherian. I'm pretty sure Geisel activated the synergy of the Aetherian in the last boss fight. Just look at the video, the gameplay video that I uploaded, and you can see like in the execute range of Nakash at Ruins of Mazatoon, I was the only DPS that was alive. You can see how fast she burns from about 900k HP to 0. The damage is insane, and it's because of course it gets boosted by Daedric Prey, but it also gets boosted by the synergy. So Charged Lightning will give the player and the Aetherian Major Berserk, which is 25% more damage for 8 seconds. So in a really good trial, Magicka DKs can pull about 60 plus k DPS, not HP, 60 plus k DPS, and just imagine them getting Major Berserk to even buff their damage by 25%. This is insane. It's more damage than their Standard of Might, and it stacks with their Standard of Might, which is really nice. So if it's no like big issue for your team, you can use the Atro. By the way, just to clear things up, people are talking about pets stealing buffs, stuff like that, and I've asked a lot of people. We made some tests, and I can tell you, yeah, in cases they do steal buffs, still familiars can get damaged. You can see it has an HP bar, and buffs like Spell Power Cure only apply to like players and NPCs that are at full health. So we did some testing with sorcerers in our trial, and the Spell Power Cure uptime dropped only by a couple %, so it's not that much of a big deal. You can run pets. I however do not recommend to run with shades with from the Nightblade, because they have no HP bar. They will most probably still steal the buffs, but like it's a bit weird. Like in some cases the pets don't even steal the buffs. So we did tests with add-ons, and I looked at the uptime of Spellpower Cure, and it's still at like it depends a little bit. Like it should be at about 60% or more, maybe sometimes 70%, and it never dropped below like 55% uptime, which is also still pretty good. It depends a little bit on the raid, if there's a lot of incoming damage, all that stuff, but still pets are not an issue when it comes to buff stealing. Yeah, that's about it. So that's it for the front bar. The back bar, I currently have overload because because when I need to run and trial and VMall, I can heal myself, I can get direct resources with the skills. It's completely up to you. You can use the Destro ability, the Destro ultimate there as well, if you want to, so you can slot into forgot to morph it. Elemental Rage, can slot it. It's completely up to you. Then, because these are toggle abilities, of course we have Aegis and Familiar. Then we have Daedric Prey. So Daedric Prey is real powerful. While this curse is active, your all the pets deal an additional 55% damage to the target, except your Storm Atronach, which only deals an additional 40% damage. You can have only one Daedric Prey active at a time. So yeah, the Atronach deals 40% more damage, which is insane. And also the Familiar deals a lot of damage. Then we have Lightning Flood. Lasts 6 seconds and has a little bit bigger range, 6 meter radius. Then we have Unstable Wall of Fire, also 6 seconds, and it explodes with flame damage, 4k flame damage, which is also really nice. And yeah, that's about it for skills. Before I get to rotation, we should have a look at champion points. So for dungeons, I do recommend to go with 100 into Magician, 100 into Arcanist, pretty common. Red Tree is completely up to you. I just put 100 in here and 87 here to put 3 into Bastion, 10 into Quick Recovery. It's completely up to you. Look at the incoming damage of the content you're currently running, then just, yeah, according to that, put your points into Red Tree. So if you take a lot of elemental damage, put points here. If you take a lot of physical poison damage, stuff like that, put points there. For the Blue Tree, so if you're using the Blockade of Storms, or if your healers in the trial are using the Lightning Blockade or Blockade of Storms or the Unstable Wall of Lightning, put at least 75 points here. From my calculations, best setup was putting 77 points into Thaumaturge, 1 into Staff Expert, 22 into Elfborn, and 100 into Elemental Expert. Do not waste points into Spell Erosion, even if you have precise staffs, because your pet deals like a shit ton amount of damage on this build. So Spell Erosion won't buff the pet. Trust me on that one. 22 Elfborn is still, yeah, like a little amount of increased critical damage, but this should be like the best setup for off balance. Like if you do not want to set enemies off balance, you should reduce the amount of points you put into Thaumaturge. I think I think it's a little bit too much here now. So if your enemies are not set off balance, yeah, it's like that. So 33 points into Thaumaturge, 66 points into Elfborn, hits a jump point, 100 into Elemental Expert, 1 to Staff Expert. So if you do not have a Lightning Blockade or like Blockade of Storms, stuff like that, you do not need the Exploiter passive, and then I recommend to go with this CP distribution. You could still point like if you want more damage on your dots, which also was relatively effective, to go with 75 points, 57 points into Thaumaturge and 42 into Elfborn. Still a lot of crit damage you get out of this, but I'm running with the off balance setup because I use the lightning staff on the back bar all the time. And now we'll go to the rotation, basic rotation. I will just show it on the target skeleton here. So I will slot shooting star and a light here. It's active. So what you do when you start the fight, of course, is actually like activate inner light, because inner light gives you might of the guild. Now you can see it right now here. Where is it? Empower. So your next ability does 20% more damage, I guess. So you activate inner light, then you fully charge a heavy attack, and then if you have a meteor ready, you cast the meteor into bar swap. Then you start with Daedric Prey, you put down your unstable ball, then you cast your lightning flood into bar swap, light attack, pet. Then you do 2 filling attacks, so force pulses or crystal fragments. The second one again into bar swap, and then you start with Prey again. So it pretty much looks like this. So inner light, fully charged heavy attack. We do not have a meteor, so we do it in bar swap. Prey. So this is like the basic rotation. And to stop the fight, I need to put him away like this. This is the basic rotation that you do. Maybe I can summon it again. Will he walk there as well? Yeah, he will. Okay, it's a bit stupid. I'm sorry. I will show it again if I get out of combat. But unfortunately, he attacked the skeleton again. Okay. So once more to show it to you. So I will cast my familiar first. So I use inner light, charge a heavy attack into boss swap, light attack, prey, light attack, ball. So that's the rotation. And the thing is, you do not have an execute. You do not need to focus on execute. You can just do the rotation all the time. And as you can see, like 31k, and with a wrong CP setup. So as you can see, I still have the off-balance CP setup, so I can't use exploiter. I hardly have minor vulnerability here, and I'm not using the lightning blockades to set him off balance. So we'll use a little bit of damage here, and still 31k DPS without debuffs and stuff like that. As you can see here from this test, like this is the amount of DPS that you should usually reach, and also precise staffs. Yeah, just precise staffs. So that's it, guys. I will put the 38 point something k DPS test to show it in action with the lightning blockade here right now. I hope you will enjoy this review. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. Like I said, all the credit of this build goes to Senaksu. He's the one who came up with it. Like I said, I wish you a lot of fun with this build. I hope to see you the next time, so until then, bye bye.